I'll take a moment here to introduce our next speaker, and that is Ameen. Ameen Soleimani is a pretty great dude. He's arguably one of the loudest privacy advocates that exists, and one of the greatest supporters of the Tornado Cash developers. In fact, he does a great job of putting his money where his mouth is. Donated, I think it was 50 ETH today. Was that today? And is going to be matching another 50 ETH of support to them as well for people who donate alongside of him. Yeah, he's a sick dude.
Thank you. I didn't prepare slides today, sorry. Gonna talk about a couple things. Thank you for having me. If you haven't already checked this out, there's like a nice little hallway museum thing. It has a bunch of like dank privacy memes and history. Just check it out. Things I'm going to talk about today are the brief update on the Tornado Cash case. I'm going to talk about privacy pools in Oxbow, and I'll talk about some other privacy projects that I think are really cool. Who here, a show of hands, has heard of Tornado Cash? Yeah, all right. How many of you guys are familiar with the details of the legal action against Roman and Alexei? It's like half. Okay. I'll explain a little bit about it. So about 2 years ago, on August 8th, 2022, the US government sanctioned the Tornado Cash contract, and 2 days later, they arrested Alexei Pertsev in the Netherlands. He was one of the developers. And a year after that, they arrested Roman Storm, who was another one of the developers who lived in the US. The reason why they did this is because North Korea had been allegedly using the Tornado Cash contracts, and they had funneled something like a couple $100 million that they'd hacked from a video game, which is its own story, but they started using Tornado Cash. And so the US government got mad, sanctioned it, arrested the devs. Well, the Netherlands arrested the dev. The US followed suit later. Alexei lost his trial. It was, I forget what month it was earlier this year. And he is facing 5 years in prison. We are, and I say we, his lawyers are working on appealing his case. And the cool thing about Netherlands appeals is that they reintroduce the facts into the case, so it's almost like a full retrial. And it's really important that the verdict that led to the judgment, the justifications are reevaluated, because one of the things that the judge said in their verdict was they chose how this was designed, and if they had been able to anticipate that people might use this for crime and they didn't build a system to prevent it, they are now liable for the criminal usage of the platform. And this is a very dangerous thing. Even people who like hate us in Ethereum, like, I don't know, there's this like girl, Molly, Web3 hater or something, and she was also like, this is outrageous, and it is. And I could see a similar argument being made, for example, for Ethereum core devs one day. They say, hey, you guys talk about this censorship resistance thing a lot. We really like censoring criminals. So if you're preventing us from censoring criminals, we're going to now hold you liable for the crimes that you're preventing us or making it hard for us to prevent. So, I think it's that, like, on its face, when people in America looked at that, we're like, that's insane. Like, if I sell somebody a hammer and they use it to bash someone's face in, like, it's not my fault. But that is actually what was said in the courtroom. And so we're going to take another look at that. Another positive factor about this is that Roman's trial got pushed back to April, which means it'll be after Trump's inauguration. And so hopefully there's some positive impact there, where crypto is not like a bad word in DC the same way it was, last couple of years after SBF gave them all money, and then they decided that crypto is the worst thing that ever happened. So optimistic about Roman's case. U.S. freedom of speech laws are better. The Allegations are money laundering, conspiracy to violate international sanctions, and operating an unlicensed money services business, total of like 45 years. It's not great. One also sad event that happened recently is Roman Sterlingov. I don't know why these guys are all named Roman, but Roman Sterlingov, who was the developer of Bitcoin Fog, which was a mixer, got sentenced to 12.5 years on money laundering charges and unlicensed money services businesses. And so even in the case that Roman Storm is charged, we want to get the best outcome possible, which means beat as many of the charges as possible. And if we can beat some of those charges, then Alexei will have a better chance at his trial as well. I did donate 50 ETH today to Alexei's fundraiser. You can check out the different fundraisers on wewantjusticedao.org. And I'm also willing to match up to 50 ETH for anybody who wants to join this week. In one push to fund his appeal, we already had some fundraising for these guys, but we didn't anticipate, how much the appeal would cost and how long it would be ongoing. So we want to raise some more money for Alexei to be able to see it through. All right, so that's Tornado Cash. Who here has heard of privacy pools? All right, a little more than half, about half. Okay, so Tornado Cash was actually originally funded by a project called Moloch DAO. Here's another one. Who's heard of Moloch DAO? Nice, actually, more people in privacy pools. So Moloch DAO is like a punk rock nonprofit to fund Ethereum open source projects. It helped fund the open source, public goods Tornado Cash grants. The problem was that Americans can't use this thing anymore. It's actually odd. Like in Europe, they said all this stuff about Alexei, but like technically as a Dutch citizen, you can still use Tornado Cash. It's not illegal. They didn't pass any laws that make it illegal, but I, as a US citizen, cannot use it. What we're trying to do, the regulatory outcome of Tornado Cash, we have all these conversations, we're like trying to talk to regulators, and the regulatory outcome was essentially they banned anybody in the US from using it. That is a form of regulation. It's not a great form of regulation, and we're trying to get better policies passed. We live in a society. So there is a group, a professor named Fabian Schar, who wrote the best paper about Tornado Cash, and analyzing it and explaining how it worked. He's a blockchain professor at the University of Basel, Switzerland. And so after the Tornado Cash sanctions happened, Vitalik and I got together. He had this idea for trying to make an updated version of Tornado Cash that allowed the users to prove that they were not some of the depositors. And Fabian, in his paper, had made this policy recommendation. And this got published in the St. Louis Federal Reserve, which was shocking to me. But the policy recommendation was to mandate the use of the Tornado Cash compliance tool. So Tornado Cash had this tool that the team built themselves, and you could basically prove which deposit belonged to you. That's why it's actually inaccurate to call Tornado Cash a mixer, because it doesn't actually mix your money. If it mixed your money, you wouldn't be able to prove which specific deposit belonged to you. It's a nitpick that the world's not ready for this yet in terms of terminology, but the paper that Fabian wrote suggested the use of this compliance tool for regulating Tornado Cash. They wanted to say, hey, privacy is good, people should have this. You don't, when you send Venmo, you don't put it on public, right? You make fun of people who do that. But in blockchain land, everything is public, so we all actually are doing exactly that. So they mandated, they want to say, let's give people privacy, but let's mandate that they have to give the proof of which specific deposit they are, essentially doxing themselves to some financial institution. And that would be the way that they would use it. And Vitalik's idea was to kind of make this a lot easier by allowing people to publicly publish proofs that say, I am not some of the users of the system, or I am specifically this subset of the users of the system, of the depositors, and so that way you can create a separation between people who deposit that are criminals or hacked your friend's DeFi protocols and so forth, and everybody else. And so privacy pools is an attempt to make privacy for the good guys. Obviously, people have different definitions of good guys. As an American, I'm going to build this for the American good guys. You know, if you deposit the money in the privacy pool, we accept you into our association set of deposits that we think are legit and not criminal, and then you turn around and send all the rest of the money to Hamas, we will take you off the list. You know, that's how that works. So the company that we started is called Oxbow, and Oxbow is building the first association set for privacy pools. We are monitoring all the deposits that go in, we're tracing back all the funds, and we're determining if they are legitimate to associate with or not. And so if they are, then when you withdraw, you can submit a zero-knowledge proof that your deposit was one of the ones on our list, and that allows you to, show, publicly that you are not associated with any of the potentially criminal deposits into the system. So we're, worked with Fabian Schar to basically publish a paper about this concept, and Oxbow is implementing it. And you'll be able to see it soon. I've been saying that for a while. One day I will not live in the shame of not having this shipped at the conference when I come to present it. But one day soon, you'll be able to do it. And then you'll all be like, oh man, they didn't let me onto the list. And it's like, well, you brought your money from Tornado Cash or something. We can have that debate in the future. So privacy pools is also working with a couple other protocols. We announced a partnership with Labyrinth recently. They have a novel approach to compliance as well, and we want to help monitor their protocol. So if you're a privacy protocol and you want to figure out how to be compliant and help your users protect themselves by also allowing your users to dissociate from people that they don't want to associate with while still having privacy on your protocol, we'd love to talk to you and figure out if we can help you out. And if you're a developer that's interested in working with us, we're also happy to hire, help get this thing shipped. So third topic is other cool things in privacy. Who thinks private voting is cool? Show of hands. A lot of people. Like, who likes democracy? It's like, like, do you think all the votes should be public in a democracy? How about that election fraud? So I actually think, Elon's like paper ballots one day counting, and it's like the nerds are watching this and we're like, we can do so much better than this. It's taken some time. Andrew Yang, a couple of years ago, proposed blockchain voting, and we all freaked out and we're like, this is the worst idea anybody has ever had. Don't do this. And so, but recently there have been advances, and I spent a little over a week in Ukraine. I went to ETH Kiev and met some of the cool Ukrainian devs from Raremo. They made this thing called Freedom Tool. It's very cool. I'm going to shill Lasha's talk. It's happening like right now, and so at the risk of doing whoever's next here a great disservice, I'm encouraging you all to go see Lasha's talk from Raremo about Freedom Tool. And when we were in Ukraine, we basically realized these guys had made this thing where you can scan a passport and upload a proof that the passport is legitimate because there's a signing, the signing keys from like the Russian government. So they were doing this to troll the Russian elections. So they built a system that allows you to scan Russian passports and then prove that you have a valid Russian passport without revealing any information about yourself, and then vote using that in a parallel election that's like against Putin so that they can have a legitimate, more legitimate election. It's pretty funny. When we got there, we thought it was fun. I was there with one of my Iranian activist friends, and we realized that this technology works out of the box for Iranian passports as well. And the Iranian elections were in a week. So we decided to fork it all, make our own app called Iranians.vote, hijack the passport infrastructure of Iran and the public key signing system, and have an anonymous way to prove that you have a valid Iranian passport and vote in a parallel election. And it was great because it was basically a vote of no confidence. You could only vote no. right? So that was fun. We taught some people about zero knowledge proofs, and yeah, you know, had some other ideas around that. We're like, oh, we could use this for surveys, you know, and it's like what we could, you could actually prove things about yourself, you know, on your ID without revealing anything. So you can be like, oh, I'm over the age of 30, or I am a woman, and then you can, you know, airdrop onto people who answer it. But then we realize we have a problem, which is there's a lot of sanctions against Iranians, and so how do we know that it's not, you know, Ali Khamenei answering our survey and getting paid like a quarter? So apparently, you know, this is a privacy conf. Not many of you guys are fans of sanctions. I'm not the biggest fan of sanctions. I think they go overboard a lot. I think it's atrocious that Roman Semenov, one of the developers of Tornado Cash, is on the sanctions list. I don't think it's atrocious that Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader Ayatollah of Iran, or the Islamic Republic of Iran, is on the sanctions list. I think that's legit. But you can prove privately that you are not on the sanctions list when you submit your poll. So you can answer the survey, and you can be like, hello, my name is not on this list of names. I'm not telling you which name I have, but this is it. You can also match with birthdays. And just want to give a shout out to the Ukrainian team, because they actually wrote a paper about this that will get published pretty soon. So generally speaking, I'm bullish on the use of zero knowledge proofs and blockchains together for democracies. I think that's a great field. You should all figure out how to do that. And then also the use of zero knowledge proofs for compliance. So check out Oxbow, check out the fundraiser for Alexei, donate if you can, try and keep your friends out of jail. Thank you guys.